Next question comes from Steve Botari.
A bipartisan comprehensive border bill crafted by a conservative Senate Republican was shelved after former President Trump came out against it. What provisions from that legislation would you bring back for a new border bill? Alderman Lavasser, to you first.
Yeah, that bill was not a bill that made any sense. It still allowed 5,000 people a day or 4,500 people a day to come across the border. I mean, the bill was written that allowed another 1.5 million people to keep coming in. Right now, our unemployment numbers are going up. Native American numbers of unemployment are really high. And the cracks in the economy are really starting to show. It would be one thing if we allowed 2 million people to come in over the last 4 years. We've allowed 10 million people to come in for the last 4 years. How's that working out for America? Higher inflation, higher food costs, higher housing costs. Try renting an apartment. Where do you think they're all living? They're moving into all your buildings. They're moving into the apartments. They're buying a lot of food. They're getting subsidies. Medicaid is going through the roof because you have to pay for them for health care. Welfare is going up. EBT cards are going up. So, yeah, Trump was right. And the Republicans that held firm on that bill were right. You need to stop the flow and figure out where we're going to go from here.
Councilor Prescott, same question.
It's called a show vote in Washington, D.C. It's part of the swamp there. What we call it in New Hampshire, when I was in the state Senate, was a poison pill. It's a poison pill when you put in things that shouldn't be there, that we know when it gets to the House of Representatives from the U.S. Senate, that they're just not going to vote for it. So it's just a show vote so that they can use it to say, we tried to do something bipartisan, and what happened? Republicans were stalling it. They're not the ones that want to fix the border. A poison pill is something that the other side would never vote for. That's not called bipartisanship. That is called stonewalling and making sure that the bill never passes. We need a bipartisan way to make sure that we secure our border, and as well as make sure we reform our immigration so that more people that are qualified and have people here that are going to go accept them as mentors. That's what we need here for immigration. We don't need poison pills and show votes like the Washington, D.C. swamp.
Ms. Nawaletsky.
Thank you. We don't need two tiers of immigration. We need to fix our legal immigration, but we need to shut down illegal immigration. And as they had noted, it's going to allow for another 1.5 to 1.8 million illegal immigrants a year. We cannot have two tiers. I have people in my shop who have waited years to come here. People through the Thai refugee camps to escape the Khmer Rouge. I have people who didn't see their children and wife for 3 years waiting to get a visa. They've done it the right way. We need to honor the sacrifice that they did to come here the right way. But we need to shut down illegal immigration, and no part of that bill would I accept.
Mr. Bright.
We could close our border on day one. How do I know this? Because we already were doing that under President Donald Trump. There's a couple things that you can actually do. Everybody gets up and says we need to close the border. Yeah, we get that. How do you do it, though? How do you do it? You could start by continuing to build that wall. And I'm objective. I realize that we're not going to be able to build a wall against our entire border. But we can augment those openings with technology. We could funnel people to the areas that we need to go. The Border Patrol themselves has said they are 2,800 people short. I would give them those agents. I would also give them an extra 200 people to adjudicate all these fictitious asylum claims. There's another policy called Jus Soli, which means if you are a child born on American soil, you're automatically given American citizenship. I would act to repeal that because I believe if you're a child born to an illegal immigrant, that child should also be an illegal immigrant, and I would work to undo that. Those are 3 actionable steps that we can do on day one to curb this invasion at our border.